And welcome back to another edition of the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV, as we have had so many great football games. A couple last week, three this week. We are filling in every single nook and cranny of the high school schedule here in the city of Riverside. And I'll tell you what, it has been my pleasure to cover all of the games this season with this guy right now, joining us live via satellite from West Los Angeles, the great Ghazal Hassan. How you doing, Ghazal?
You're talking about nooks and crannies. Now I want a Thomas's English muffin. It's doing great, Jeff. And a big week of football in the city of Riverside, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to covering it with you.
I'll tell you what, we had a couple great ones last week. We had CSDR on Thursday night as California School for the Deaf really took care of Desert Chapel. Had a couple injuries, but I'll tell you what, the battle station is fully charged over at CSDR. Would you say? Pretty darn good.
Yeah, what a great job Keith Adams has done over there. I mean, they're undefeated this year. They made the final last year, 20 of 21, and it's such a mission for them. They want to get back to that final. They were so disappointed. They were so emotional after the loss last year in the Division II final. They want to get back to the final this year, and they're going to win it this time.
I totally feel you. In fact, I spoke to Coach over the weekend, checked on his son. His young sophomore son will be back in action after the break because they have a bye week this week as they finish up their season going into the playoffs. But we also had another great one. A little bit, John W. North came up on the short side of the stick, but we had a great one on Friday night as they were defeated by Temescal Canyon, and we saw a budding star from Temescal Canyon.
Koa Apana, their quarterback, did a great job. Blake Van Such had 2 touchdowns and about 130 yards receiving. Now a 4-way tie atop the Ivy League. So North has got some work to do. They can still get into the playoffs, I think. I think they're a pretty good football team. But what happened was Temescal Canyon had a couple of their seniors step up and make plays, and that was the difference in the game. And that's what happens at this time of year. We're deep into October now, Jeff, and the seniors really need to start making plays as we get closer to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it was a tough game for John W. North, but like you said, they have a couple opportunities. They can't squander any of them in the next 2 weeks. But let's move on to the big one this Friday night. As everybody's been circled this one all season long, it's the redemption game as Ramona is going back home to play Norte Vista for that River Valley League Championship Friday night.
The way I see it, Jeff, it's a tale of two coaches. They're both named Ken, okay? Ken Batdorf of Norte Vista. He's like Long John Silver from Treasure Island, the great children's book by Robert Louis Stevenson. He's got 2 good legs, though, and no parrot. Although you said you'd work on it. You know, he's got to come to the game Friday in a parrot. So he's kind of that marauding pirate who's always gotten the best of everybody else. I think 7 league titles in 10 years, 6 of them outright. And then you got Coach Mush. You got Ken Mashinsky. Maybe a little bit more of a genteel individual. He's more like Ahab from Moby Dick, right? He's got the white whale. And the white whale is the league championship for the River Valley League. I looked it up. Now, they won a share of it in that crazy 2017 when it was a 5-way tie. Ramona hasn't won an outright league title since 1988, Jeff. 1988. The year Robert Plant released Now and Zen. The year Morrissey replaced Viva Hate with the #1 hit, Sway Dead. So it's going to be real exciting on Friday. I mean, all kidding aside, I'm really looking forward to this game. No disrespect to anybody else. These are the 2 best teams in the league. And you and I have discussed all year, the River Valley League is probably as good as it's been since the league started in 2012. And they're just going to let it fly on Friday. It should be fantastic.
Yeah, Ken Batdorf, I mean, he seems like he's always in the mix. They lose 19 starters from last year's team, and then they go on and they rally off 7 straight wins after that first loss of the season. I mean, he has 8, 9 different guys that can score the football. When was the last time we ever saw a Ken Batdorf team have 8 or 9 guys that can score the football?
The versatility is important this year. It makes it difficult for the other team to scout. And, you know, we joke about Coach Batdorf a lot, but, I mean, he's a fantastic coach, a very good coach. I don't know, 205 wins over 29 years. It's an average of 7 wins a year. That's pretty good, Jeff. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it is. I'll tell you what, we have another game on Friday night. It's the flex game. It was voted on. We have Temecula Valley, Bert Esposito versus Jason McMains over at King High School. That has some big playoff implications as well. King on their heels after losing to Santiago. It's going to be tough for them to get in, but they have to take care of business the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, right. My latest projection, I have King in. They were the 7 seed in Division 9. So actually, it would be a first-round match against Norte Vista, against your buddy Ken Batdorf. But yeah, they're on the bubble. They need a win. A win against Temecula Valley would be big. I think if they beat Temecula Valley, they're probably in the playoffs regardless, right? So it's a big game for Jason McMains. But Temecula Valley, they've been a very strong team. They're still in the running to win that Big West lower division. So a division title on the line for the Golden Bears and maybe a playoff berth on the line for King. A lot of high stakes this weekend over at King High School.
Yeah, so J.R. Ibarra and Nick Rice will be on that call as we have a doubleheader Friday night. But then we go on to Saturday night as we have the number 1 ranked team in the state of California, community college level, RCC. The Tigers are coming off a huge victory last Saturday, but they're going to be playing at home Saturday afternoon against a very, very good Mount Sac team.
They haven't updated. I looked the rankings up right before we went on, Jeff. They haven't updated them yet. They're still the last week's rankings. But last week, Riverside was number 1 in the state, and Mount Sac was number 3. And this is a really deep, deep rivalry. If you remember, Coach Kraft was on the Mount Sac staff last year. I talked with Coach Jastrab earlier this week, the head coach at Mount Sac. He said, I wish he never left. Right? Because they're great friends. They've admired each other for a long time, and they have 2 of the best teams in the state. And as if Friday night isn't enough, the 2 top teams in the River Valley League, there's going to be a Donnybrook on Saturday, both games at Ramona High School. So Ramona High School is going to see a lot of high-quality football this weekend. The number 1 team in the state against the number 3 team in the state, kind of in the same region. So we have a bunch of high school kids who played against each other, playing on both sides of this rivalry, and it'll be huge. RCC number 1 in the state, and they just keep on rolling along. They thumped Palomar over the weekend. I think it was 34-3, and that machine just keeps on rolling.
Yeah, Coach does a great job over at RCC, and it just seems like every single year they're playing for national championships. It's either national championships or bust coming from the RCC Tigers. Losing in the state championship last year, they have to have some redemption as well. It's a redemption weekend here on the city of Riverside.
I see what you did there, Jeff. Very nice. Very nicely done.
You like that. Well, I'll tell you what, Ghazal, we are going to be on the call for Friday night's game and Saturday afternoon's game. And I'll tell you what, we are, like I said, circled this game, and I couldn't be more excited for Friday night. You'll be on the call with me, and can't wait to see you. And we're going to have a great one. So thank you again, and we will see you Friday night.
Big weekend. Thanks, Jeff. See you then.
All right. He is the great Ghazal Hassan. When we come back, we'll be joined by the head coach of Ramona High School and Norte Vista, Ken Batdorf and Ken Mashinsky, here on The Coach's Perspective on Riverside TV. And welcome back to The Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV, as we are now joined by the River Valley League leading head coach of the Ramona Rams, Ken Mashinsky. How you doing today, Coach?
Good, Jeff. How you doing, bud? Thanks for having us on.
I'll tell you what, this is the one game we circled all season long. It was between you and Norte Vista, and I'll tell you what a game we're going to have on Friday night. You're going to play the Braves for the league championship. Are you excited, and how are you feeling this week?
Yeah, it's been a great ride up until this point. It has, you got to be honest, it's been hard not to look ahead to facing Norte Vista in week 9. It's a perfect scenario. They're 7-1, we're 7-1. We're both coming off of 3 league wins. We have a lot to prove. It was a great game last year. There's just a lot riding on it. It's our senior night. We're coming back home. It's our last home game for league. So the anticipation, the excitement, it's building, and we had a great practice on Monday. Hopefully we have a great practice this afternoon and just kind of go into the game on Friday on a high.
Talking about this Norte Vista team, they lost 19 players from last year's team, 19 starters, I should say. And, nobody kind of knew how Ken Batdorf's team was going to react this season. They started off their first loss of the year, the first game of the year, and they've run off 7 straight wins. What has surprised you most about this Norte Vista team that nobody really knew anything about going into the season?
I don't think anything surprises me about a Ken Batdorf team. He does a great job, him and his staff, of getting his guys, whoever he has, prepared for the next year. I was just talking to my team about the importance of discipline and weightlifting, and Ken really stresses that. And that's why Norte Vista is successful. You know, they get guys every now and then, the Eddie Alaines, the Freddie Hollies, Carvajal's, and look what happens when they have that. They have one of their better teams like last year. And then this year, it's kind of like the Mater Deis and St. John Bosco's. They kind of just keep reloading every single year. And, you know, now they have Temple and they have the younger Elaine. You know, they have a great backer fullback. It's you know, it's a typical Ken Batdorf team. So I'm not surprised. I honestly, I was surprised they lost to Hesperia week 1. And Hesperia is very well coached, but I knew Ken had some talent going in. But you know, Hesperia is able to stop their offense a little bit, slow them down, and get the win. But for them to rattle off 7 games in a row, not surprised at all.
Well, Coach, you know, you guys have were the talk of the town going into this season. I mean, you have a great quarterback. You've got great receivers. You have Bo Bruins, one of the top 50 running backs in the state of California. How were you able to keep those guys so focused for the entire season?
Well, I think you know, it's not just a credit to me. It's a credit to you know, the coaching staff and their parents, and definitely to the kids. I was talking to Gasol a little earlier just about the maturity level of these kids. And most of the kids that you're talking about on offensive side of the ball and defensive side of the ball, they're 2 or 3 sport athletes. And I think that really, you know, lends itself into the conversation of why they are able to focus. Because, you know, once they're done with football, they're going to go to basketball, and they're going to go to travel baseball, and they're going to go to varsity baseball. And they're performers on that team. So, yes, we have some talent. It's very similar to what Norte Vista had last year. You know, we're gonna graduate 16, 17, 18, 19 starters off of this team next year. So you know, we're able to kind of keep them focused just by, you know, leaning on them and their maturity.
Well, everybody always talks about the quarterbacks, the receivers, the running backs. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the unsung heroes, the big boys up front, maybe your defensive, offensive line, and some guys that really will surprise anybody who watches the Rams?
Well, you know, I think our defense is actually the most underrated part of our team. You know, offense, we're putting up points, we're scoring kind of at will. Everybody knows that we have, you know, Bo and Nathan and 4 great receivers, and everybody knows how big our O-line is. They're massive. They're huge. But our defense kind of goes under the radar. And if you look at their stats over the last 2, 3, 4 games, they're doing a great job in the stat category. Fortunately, I get to see them practice every day and play every Friday. And what they've done in terms of commitment to practice, coming out and hitting hard and tackling. I actually just told our defensive coordinator, look, we can kind of scale back on the hitting and stuff like that. We know our kids are going to hit. They've been proving it over the last 2-3 weeks. I'll just throw out a name, and he's doing a great job. Desmond Watkins, our middle linebacker, the way that he has transformed from game 1 to now in terms of the way that he tackles and finishes a ball carrier, it's unbelievable. He's finishing the play and getting the kid down and doing it with a little bit of anger. And we've missed that around Ramona for a little bit. And I think that all the defensive players around him have kind of fed off that, you know, Castaneda and Vega and Soto and Horton and those guys. They see Dez coming in or Vega coming in and giving a pop. They want to do the same. And that's why Friday night is going to be such an incredible night, because we already know, you know, the Batdorf teams, Norte Vista, they're already very physical. And I think our defense brings that physicality with us this week and provides for some excitement on Friday night.
Now, do your kids gain momentum by looking at last year's tough loss? Do they look at this and say, hey, we have redemption on their mind? Is that something on the back of these kids' mind going into Friday night?
There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that is on their mind. And I will say for one kid, Jordan Daniels, it goes without saying because he got knocked out last year in the Norte Vista game. But collectively, overall, as a team, we have been looking for this game for a long time. And I was talking to Gasol earlier about how tough it's been to keep them, you know, like not looking ahead. And that's kind of been our motto is, you know, one game at a time. And our players have done fabulous these last 3 games, Hillcrest, La Sierra, Arlington of not looking ahead to Norte Vista, and that's tough for a 16-year-old or 17-year-old boy. So yeah, they're looking forward to it. They know what's at stake. We're not hiding it. Norte Vista is a stout opponent. It's going to be a great game. And honestly, we still have Patriot after that. So we have two for sure tough running games, tough defenses, physical guys, very well-coached teams coming up these next 2 weeks. Our kids know it, and we're going to be ready for Norte Vista on Friday night.
Now, I'll tell you what, that Patriot game, Patriot has a lot to – they're playing for their playoff lives. Patriot is one of those teams – in fact, they had a tough loss at Hillcrest. They've played everyone so well. I hope that somehow we can get 4 teams from the River Valley League into the playoffs.
Yeah, they are very deserving. Fowler does a good job over there, and they're running back number 7. He's a stud, and they have a stout defense. They play tough. They play very physical. And when I was looking at our schedule leading up to this year, I said, oh gosh, we end with Norte Vista and Patriot. The old black and blue league, like the old CBL was, they beat up on each other. That's kind of what I envisioned going into playoffs is. These 3 teams are gonna be fighting for it, and fortunately for Hillcrest, they nipped Patriot there a little bit, but it would be nice if Patriot and Hillcrest and us and Novi got into the playoffs. They're very deserving, but again, we're focusing on Friday night. Looking forward to Norte Vista coming over to our place and having a great game.
Well, Coach, Ghazal, Hassan, and I will be on the call. Pep will be there on the sidelines for the game of the year. We've been talking about it all season long. Coach, thank you for your time, and good luck to you guys on Friday night.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I really appreciate it, Ghazal. You guys have a good rest today. We'll see you on Friday night.
He's Ken Mashinsky, the head coach of the Ramona Rams. We have them Friday night here on Riverside TV. We'll be right back with the head coach of Norte Vista High School, Ken Batdorf, here on The Coach's Perspective. And we are back to finish up the Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV, and we save the very best for last. He is the head coach, the long ferryman, the old man in the sea, Captain Ahab, the guy that's been at Norte Vista for 37 and a half centuries. He is the great Ken Batdorf. How are you today, Ken?
I'm hanging in there.
Coach, you have a big game. I don't know if you heard about it, but I think you guys are playing for another league championship come Friday night. How did that happen?
I don't know. Let's be honest. Start of the season, I heard a lot of people telling us we'd be 2-8, probably 3-7, 2-8, 3-7, and we're 7-1, and it's all with mirrors. We're not that good. We got kids who are trying really hard and just getting lucky.
Hey, enough of the coach speak, and let me give you some numbers here. The last couple games we have called here on Riverside TV, you had 9 kids score, 8 kids score. You have a plethora, a veritable cornucopia of athletes that can score the football. When is the last time that's happened at Norte Vista?
That's what I'm saying. It's mirrors. We don't know who's scoring. It just happens. We're just doing our very best, trying to get better every week, and that's what we're doing. And, if we come out and play halfway decent, we might stay within 50 of Ramona.
And speaking of Ramona, last year you guys beat them last year, and I'll tell you what, that was a big-time game, and they've talked about it all season long. They want redemption. But let's talk about this Ramona team. You're a coach. You're friends with Mush. You like those guys. Tell us what surprises you, or what surprises you the most about this Ramona Rams team.
Nothing. Maybe their defense has improved a lot. I knew their offense would be outstanding. Bo Bruins is a Division I running back. I don't know why he's not getting offers. The kid is absolutely fantastic. He's got speed. He's got power, great balance, great vision. I can't say enough about that kid. And then you got Johnston at quarterback. He can zing it all over the field. They have 4 guys that'll go get it. Their line is massive. And then you look at the defense, and that's kind of what we were hoping. Maybe there'd be a weak spot. Their linebackers are amazing. They fly around and hit. Defensive ends are fantastic, and the defensive line is stellar. The DBs come up and fill and then play great pass defense. And they don't have a weak spot. I told Mashinsky he should be in Division IV. And after he beats us by 100, he might be.
Well, I don't think that'll be the case, but let's talk about your Norte Vista team. All jokes aside, I mean, like I said, you lost 19 guys. How happy are you that you bounced back so quickly and found guys to fill those holes? Next man up, as we always say in football. How proud of you? How proud are you of the guys that have stepped in?
You know, it's been amazing. Then we've had kids get injured and, you know, some kids miss here and there. It's been truly amazing. When you look at the number of sophomores that we've had to play, juniors, you kind of count on a junior, but sophomore, it's a little different. And they've done a great job. And, you know, sometimes I'm looking and go, who's going to play the next spot? And like you just said, next man's up. And kids are just doing a great job.
Now, Coach, you've been doing this 29 years, right? 205 wins, I believe. And is it still fun for you to coach football?
Well, some days better than others. Like yesterday, I was really upset. We didn't have a good practice. I don't know what was done to the field, but I had an allergic reaction. My legs swelled up, and it looked like a horrible rash and putting stuff all over it. Those days are frustrating. But when you see your kids excel when people said they couldn't, when you see your kids bond as a team and start doing the little things right, that's when you know you're successful as a coach.
Now, Coach, I know you have some great young team, and I hate to discuss the future so much because you've been there for so long, but you've got a daughter who's an amazing swimmer. You got a great wife who's put up with you. Her entire marriage has been watching you coach football. When am I going to get you to retire and come join us here in the booth over at City of Riverside?
You know, we joke about that, but as long as I have a passion and I feel like I'm being productive, I'm going to keep doing this. You know, my daughter says she wants to go here. She was raised on this campus. And hopefully we could improve our swim facility and do some upgrades there. And for me, it's just as long as I'm productive, that I feel like I'm making a positive influence on kids' lives, then I know I need to keep doing this. But when I feel like I don't have the energy to do that and I'm not making a positive influence, that's when I need to go to the booth with you.
Well, Coach, you're always welcome to join me in the booth. And a lot of people know this. I mean, some people like Ken Batdorf, the coach. Some people don't. But I'll tell you what, everybody likes Ken Batdorf, the person. And I think you're one of my best friends in the world. I confide a lot to you. And the trust I have for you and the admiration I have for what you've done to the Norte Vista, to the kids, to everybody, it's second to none. You're the best coach I know and one of my dear friends. And I wish you nothing but success come Friday night. Even if it's at the expense of my Ramona Rams, you always win in my book, Coach.
Well, I think the biggest thing is as we get older, we realize, you know, football's a game. We want to succeed. We want kids to be productive and all that stuff on the field. But at the end, we're all human beings. I want my kids to be positive members of society. I have to be the leader of that. I have to be a positive member. So by doing the little things right, hopefully we show our kids that that's the way you do things.
Well, Coach, we have 3 games this weekend. We have Norte Vista versus Ramona. We have Temecula Valley versus King. And then we have Mount Sac versus RCC. It's going to be a huge weekend of football here at Riverside TV. Thank you for joining us. And we will come back next week with the winner of Friday night's game between Ramona and Norte Vista. He's Ken Batdorf, and this has been my pleasure to host another edition of The Coach's Perspective here on Riverside TV. See you Friday night.